Greetings and welcome to the Understanding Process Mapping presentation. We are pleased you have selected our program to make you acquainted with process mapping and its impact on supply chain management. As a supply chain professional, process mapping will be an important tool for your function. At some point in your career, you will find yourself having to make decisions regarding creating or improving processes within your supply chain or organization. It is important for the supply chain management specialist to be aware of the impact process mapping has on the supply chain management function. Supply chain has been defined in many ways, but there is one common word with all definitions, and that is process. When pertaining to the supply chain, process can be defined as a group of activities that together create value for the customer. Process mapping is the planning and graphic layout of these activities and the steps involved. There are several reasons that process mapping may occur. There are A. Quality assurance, B. Re-engineering of a product, C. Continuous improvement, or D. As a training tool. There are many critical terms used with process mapping. Some that should be familiar to you are critical path, handoffs, waste, parallel processes, decision points, total cycle time, redundancy, exceptions, alternative routes, or theoretical cycle time. Each of these terms will be used a lot in the process mapping process. As you start to develop your flowchart and learn the flowchart symbols, you will become more familiar with how these terms are applied. There are three types of process maps. 1. As is, which is now. 2. Could be, which includes short-term goals. And 3. Should be. These include long-term goals. The should be and could be process maps help the continuous improvement process. Process mapping is used by almost every department within an organization in some form. At some point in your career, you will be involved in creating a process map. Knowing the steps for properly creating this map will be important to the success of your process. As indicated by the symbols on the slide, there are particular symbols that communicate what is taking place. Familiarize yourself with the symbols. They are universal, so anyone involved can comprehend the meaning of the map. The basic steps will be reviewed at this time. First, we define the process steps. This can be done in a couple of different ways. One way is to list the steps that need to be evaluated. Another way is to put a large sheet of paper on the wall, preferably in a meeting or conference room, and have a group of people write down all the steps that each one sees necessary to examine the process. Next, the steps should be sorted into the order of occurrence. Then place the steps in appropriate flowchart symbol. And finally, evaluate the steps for completeness, efficiency, and possible problems. Not every process map is detailed. It could be as simple as defining an order process such as the one shown on this slide. However, developing a process map to understand or improve your supply chain is usually more detailed. There must be a thorough understanding of how your business operates. Knowing where the process begins and ends is critical, including understanding where your finished product is used and what the customer finally sees. Many times, the sales and marketing professionals within your organization will help focus on processes that involve the customer. Information gained from suppliers, the development of the product, and material and product manufacturing is a focus of purchasing and engineering. To start this process, you must first list raw materials and then your finished product, your inputs and your outputs. This is done at a high level to get a basic understanding of what is involved. Once this high-level list is completed, a more detailed list can be prepared. The next step is to develop the map of the supply chain for your organization. This is a general overview. This can look similar to either of the two shown on the slide. Take a moment and study the layout of the two basic charts. The next step is to look at where the costs of the supply chain are incurred. Some of the costs are acquisition cost, which is cost incurred during the process of obtaining the necessary materials or services. Possession cost, which is cost incurred while the material is being stored and/or being used. Application cost, which is cost incurred during the manufacturing of the product or the delivery of the service. Inspection costs, which are costs which are incurred while performing inspection. Internal/external failure costs, which are costs incurred because of failures that are identified before product reaches a customer and failures that have reached a customer. When looking to improve a supply chain or a process, any of these costs incurred will be critical to planning your improvement and changing any flow in your current process. Process mapping is an important function for improving the supply chain. This presentation is a small introduction into the area of process mapping and flow charting. You are urged to continue to familiarize yourself with the details of this process. It will be a vital part of your supply chain, continuing to strengthen your organization's productivity and ultimate success. When developing processes, remember, the consumer must always be recognized as the ultimate driver in supply chain management. As part of the continuous improvement for the supply chain, be constantly aware of the needs of the consumer and any changes in those needs. Thank you once again for your time and attention, and this is businesstraining.com, where you can earn a master's level qualification to make more money.